नमः श्री वेंकटेशाय। ओम श्री वेदांत महाचलम हि परितः संयोज्य सूत्राहिपं सद्वातागम पोषितात्म हृदयं तत्पूर्व पक्षासुरैः सिद्धान्तोक्ति सुरेश्वरैश्च मथितो यः कृष्ण दुग्धाम्बुधिः स्वीयानाम् अमृतं प्रयच्छति समां पायाद् गुणोद्यन्मणिः। सकल गुरुभ्यो नमः, देवताभ्यो नमः। The term philosophy, incidentally, let me dispel with the feeling that is there in the common parlance. Philosophy is tattva jnana. See, tattva is tattva, that means understanding the things as they are, not having any misconceptions about the things that are there around you. That way, a number of terms of traditional knowledge and wisdom are misinterpreted today. Let me take dharma. Dharma is defined as religion, and religion is equivalent to rituals, and therefore it is a sort of a discriminatory practice. But dharma in the etymological sense, dharayati iti dharmaha, dharanat dharma uchyate.
Can we say division of labor, sir?
Well, you know, varnashrama dharma is division of labor, but the very concept of dharma is referring to the values, the morality, the rules of or the principles of life. So it has nothing to do with rituals or religions. So it is a dharma for the mankind. Dharanat dharma uchyate. In Bhagavata Purana, Bhagavata dharma. See, it is not a dharma based upon Hindu faith of mankind. It is dharma based upon the faith of humanity as a mankind. So it is stated, dharma is defined as dharanat dharma uchyate, the one which sustains you in life, and it is applicable to any mankind. You know,
and this unique nature separates us from animal kingdom.
Yes, the human dharma, manava dharma is separating. Of course, they also have got their own rules of law. The animals do not rape each other just for the sake of it. That's right. Yeah. You see, dharma defined in the values is would make us have faith in the dharma shastras or the Bhagavad Gita as a treatise on dharma. You see, dharma kshetre kurukshetre dhriyate adhapatan purushaha anena iti dharmaha. Dharma is that system of values, codes of conduct and morality principles which enables man to raise himself to a higher pedestal of personality by practicing it when he is in the prone to collapse. That is why Sanjaya says at the end, Yatra Yogeshwarah Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhutihi, Dhruvanītir Matirmama. Dhruvanītihi. That means the morality would be perfectly embedded in the society. So dharma is also wrongly understood, just as you said about the various other terms in our modern day society.
Same is there with Maslow's laws of transactional analysis, sir.
What is that?
Final final aptitude of man is enlightenmentness.
Yes, and ultimately enlightenment, yes. And also
ultimate.
Yeah. You see, there are many definitions of dharma. In Bhagavata dharma, in Bhagavata, dharma is defined as being non-cheatful. That is, you should be always upright, following certain. So, for every section of the society, dharmas are described. Manava dharma, Brahmana dharma, Kshatriya dharma, Vaishya dharma, Shudra dharma. Again, in the same way, for every walk of life, you can describe the duties, you can describe the rules, laws. So that's why in Bhagavata it is stated, Dhriyate adhapatan purushaha anena iti dharmaha. In Bhagavata it is stated, Savai pumsam paro dharmaha, yato bhaktihi adokshaje, ahaituki avyavahita, yayatma ashu prasidati. See, that is the greatest dharma of mankind, by following which you would have faith in adhokshaja. Adhokshaja literally, etymologically means akshajam jnanam adhakritya vartate iti adhokshaja. That means existence of a source of power, of energy, which is beyond the scan of your physical instruments of knowledge, that is indriyas. So, by pursuing a set of rules of law, that value system, you will be able to realize that there is a supernatural force or authority looking at you. That is why you are not supposed to do any wrong thing. And yato bhakti adhokshaje ahaituki avyavahita yaya atma ashu prasidati. By pursuing that rules, you will be able to have some sort of pleasure for your internal self, your own mind. So these are definitions of dharma. But you know, dharma understood as religion has in fact divided our society, but dharma understood as a values would be for the betterment of the society. So we must put back the proper understanding of dharma. We do need dharma nirapeksha society to revise, to avoid the dividing forces of religion.
So
but
that
we
is
do
why where religious ends, there spiritual starts.
well, in that sense, there again the word religion is wrongly understood. See, the word religion, common to all religions, is values, and if we understand as values, then we should not really discard them. We should really perpetuate them and increase them and have faith in the mankind. So here, coming back to our Bhagavad Gita, we find that the battle is taking place at a place where perpetuation of values can take place. There also perpetuation of selfishness and non-values can take place. There is a conflict between the forces of values and the forces of non-values, and the entire Bhagavad Gita is the process of modality of explaining to you how to make the forces of values become ultimately victorious. That is how. And now the context is being set. As I said, Srotra Anukulya, Vaktra Anukulya, Prasanga Anukulya. Some people commenting on Bhagavad Gita, the first Adhyaya as Vishada Yoga, as we discussed earlier, ask the question as to how Vishada can be a yoga. We defined yoga as a upaya. How can that be an upaya or the instrumentality for realizing knowledge or motivating Arjuna to do his duty? But you know, in everyday life, the psychologists should bear it out that whenever you have the depression, and if you handle that depression properly, you will be a better person, more efficient person, more duty oriented person, more productive person. So
That's
a bit of
That's what for people approach counselors, psychological
psychological counselors,
Yeah.
to make themselves come back to their productive mode of working. So Duryodhana did not do the analysis properly, Arjuna did the analysis. So to create the situation of depression and dilemmas, the
you
Bhagavad
said that
Gita
the-
describes the actions which Arjuna did. Yes, please.
You said that Arjuna made perfect analysis.
Hmm.
But did he make this analysis only at the time of beginning of the war?
No.
He knew very well that he was supposed to.
No, that's why earlier it did, but here for creating the situation of Vishada, what he did is described. The situation of Vishada came into him because he had a wrong perception about the performance of duties. He did the analysis well only in the sense of, he did the analysis of all the factors except the factor of performance of duty. In his model of analysis, he did not include the duty performance as a variable, as a parameter. So he does everything. It will be killing, it will be destroying the ladies, it will be destroying the rules of law, everything would be chaotic. Yes, perfect. But his duty was to prevent the perpetuation of adharma and make the rule of dharma prevail in the system. If he had not done that, more damage than what he described would have taken place. So his analysis was also not perfect in that sense, but at least he did the semblance of analysis, unlike Duryodhana.
But sir, he said that Swajanam hi katham hatva.
How?
Can I kill my own relatives?
Yeah.
Earlier, during Vanavasa, they excused Jayadratha who insulted Draupadi Devi. But they killed Kichaka, the person who insulted Draupadi. But once again, back in the war, when he noticed his own people in front of him, once again he hesitated to kill them. So he wished to kill others, but not the relatives.
No,
So
but for such number of questions come on Mahabharata, such dilemmas, so we will have to in a way take them up separately rather than mixing up the broad objective of fostering dharma and destroying the forces of adharma. That is why I may say incidentally, for all such questions of dilemma, many acharyas have written the works which will give answers to these. One of the things is called as Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya by Madhvacharya. A number of these questions are taken up. So if you want, I can elaborate on them. But right now, we will deal with the first Adhyaya.
Guruji, as per you and as per Srimad Bhagavad Gita, by a detailed study of the Vishada Yoga, it could be a very good counseling for the people who are in depression and are suffering from anxiety disorders also.
Absolutely.
To make them into very functional and effective personalities.
So, no, but the way in which Krishna dealt with it, the way in which the process of Vishada is described in the first Adhyaya itself and later on referred to by Krishna repeatedly, shows that he was a great psychology advisor, So right now, to strengthen the presentation that it is a situation of great dilemma. See, as the question was asked that the conch shells were blown, everything was blown and everything was ready for anybody in the modern times of war would have thrown a grenade and destroyed Krishna and Arjuna together when they were standing in. But that was again a dharma yuddha based upon certain rules of conducting war. So then everyone blew the conch shells. Then the sloka which refers to the blowing of the conch shells of Madhava and Arjuna is very important here, because in these discussion meetings we are also taking certain significant slokas to understand the meanings of Bhagavad Gita. It's not just broad sweep of messages. We will also see how different slokas are making very relevant messages for us. So the sloka which says Madhava and Arjuna blew their shankhas is very interesting. Tatasvetair hayayir yukte mahati syandane sthitau Madhava Pandavaschaiva divyau shankhau pradadmatuhu. The literal meaning of this sloka is they were both sitting in a chariot which was driven by 4 white horses, and there the Madhava was there, Pandava was there. Madhavaha. See, every word in Sanskrit has an etymology, and if we understand the etymology, our joy increases. See, after all, the literature is meant to give you an abstract source of joy. You don't get 1,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees by understanding the meanings of the different words, but it gives you a joy. And Krishna uses this address to Arjuna when he is rebuking him for the wrong thoughts which he was. Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anaryajushtam asvargyam akirtikaram Arjuna klaibyam masmagamah partha tatvai upavadyate shudram hridaya daurbalyam taktotishta parantapa. So we will come to that, how an advisor and a psychology treater should deal with the patient. So you must tell him your basic quality is one of that whiteness and not doing anything wrong. So later on, when we come to that situation, I will explain about it much more. But right now, Pandava stands for a person who is very pure in thought. That is why he was eligible to listen to the sermons given by Arjuna.
So white means clear.
Clean hearted, pure.
White means clear.
Yeah, clear. So to understand the messages of Bhagavad Gita, you should be having pure heart. Otherwise, you will get all wrong notions and wrong messages of Bhagavad Gita. So all such inner messages that come from the words used in Bhagavad Gita, in all the Puranas for that matter, are extremely important. We must care for them. So in this sloka, 4 horses and the chariot and 2 persons sitting. So one commentator has interpreted this sloka very interestingly. 4 horses means 4 Vedas. Haya means haya gatau, gattartha dhatunam jnanarthakatvam, tatasvetaihi hayayir yukte. The 4 Vedas which are pure, which present the sound, profound, blemishless knowledge, and they were all, the 2 persons sitting were Mahati Sandane Sthitau. Sandane, Sanda is also Sanda Gatau. Sandane, the Ratha's name comes from the root Sanda, Sanda Gatau, that means the one which moves. You see, Sanda Gatau. Again in Sanskrit, Gattartha Dhatunam Jnanarthakatvam. So Sandane means that was the place where Jnana or knowledge was going to be preached. Mahati Sandane. It is the biggest university of knowledge. You don't get this knowledge conveyed in any classroom or any other smaller institution. Mahatis Chandane is a great source for learning.
Like encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia. Divyav Shankhav Pradadmatuhu. This Pandava was the Sishya and Madhava was the Guru. So the Guru and Sishya sitting in that great university of knowledge, and that university of knowledge was driven by the four horses, which are the source of all our traditional wisdom or knowledge, that is the four Vedas. So entire heritage knowledge is based upon the Vedas. So don't discard the Vedas as great treatises of anachronism or some sort of ritualistic, or they are all outdated. So they are all source of knowledge, as I told in the beginning, Vidajnane, then Sruti, then Amnaya. So if you look at them, incidentally let me say how they contain treatments of physical science, social science, psychology, political science, warfare. You get lessons for each one of them in the Vedas or in the literature based upon Vedas, Puranas. Entire Mahabharata, the Bhishma Dharmaraja Upadesha, Anushasanika Parva gives information of all these different sciences. There is containment of science in the Vedas, Vedic science. Now there is a great research going on, lot of research going on Vedic science. Now I will give you only one instance how our ancestors do a number of things about science. Word Hridaya. Hridaya is the ancient Sanskrit word. Hridaya means, Ru means Ruharane, it attracts. Da means to give. Aya means to go. That means Hridaya's job was to suck the blood from the different parts of the body, purify it. Purification is implied in it. Da means it gives back. Aya means it makes it to go again and again in the body. So this blood circulation, which is attributed to William Harvey of the 17th or 18th century, was known to us in the ancient times itself. So we have to have an open mind. Anyway, here the entire Bhagavad Gita is a source for knowledge giving, is indicated in this sloka. That used to be the system in all our Sanskrit literatures. The very first slokas, even the Mangala sloka, is supposed to tell you as to what is going to come in the entire Shastra Grantha. That was the research methodology which was conveyed in our Shastras. We again think that research methodology is the Western concept. We have learnt it only in the last few decades or something. But our research methodology was very profound. Our Arambhaniyattvada. Ayam grantha anarambhaniya vishaya prayojana adhikari sambandha shunyatvad kakadanta pariksha granthavata. So every treatise or very thesis writing should have a vishaya, prayojana, adhikari and paraspara sambandha. You should not be like Kakadanta Pariksha Granthavat, a big PhD thesis written on the teeth of crow.
With the title,
1000
methodology,
pages.
application,
Everything,
reliability,
validity chapters written on it, and at the end of the conclusion is that the crow has no teeth. So if you do such futile exercises, our shastric system did not encourage this kind of thing. So research methodology is not a Western concept and is not a recent vintage we wrongly teach in our classes. So in our Shastra Granthas, more profound research methodologies are there. So here, coming to this sloka, it indicates that this entire Bhagavad Gita is the source for knowledge coming from the sermon given by Krishna as Guru and Pandava as Sravana. That is why Arjuna is treated as the icon for Sravana Bhakti. See, Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. 9 forms of bhakti that are given by in Bhagavatam. Sravana, the icon for Sravana is Arjuna. Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho, Smaranam Padasevanam.
Learning by hearing. Learning by
hearing. And Atma Nivedanam, Gopika Sris are supposed to be the icons for Atma Nivedana Rupa Bhakti. So Navavida Bhakti is important source of our communication with the Supreme Lord. And Bhakti is also again another concept useful in our everyday life. Bhakti is based upon Sneha. Sneha is not on Dvesha. So we should have bhakti in our Guru, we should have bhakti in our Snehita, bhakti in our family. But we don't use the word bhakti there, we use it as Sneha. But sneha of the highest order in a supreme entity is called as bhakti. So our philosophy of life based upon bhakti, which is common to all acharyas, Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vallabha Pantha, and all the other subsequent acharyas have all emphasized the importance of bhakti. And today, in my opinion, I am sure you agree with me, that the society needs this environment of love, affection, admiration and respect for each other. So we must again, when these values were getting eroded in our midst, Haridasas came, Annamacharya came, then all the acharyas, all these Haridasas came, and these kirtanas were sung to bring back the emotion of bhakti in our midst. But anyway, so Bhagavad Gita also tells you how to have bhakti in Guru. Then Panchajanyam Hrishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Paundram Dadmau Mahashankham Bhimakarma Vrikodaraha. All of them had particular shankhas, and blowing the shankhas was the symbol of starting the war, and each person had a shankha named in a particular way. See, Panchajanya, Rishikesha had got Panchajanya, then Devadatta is Dhananjaya. What is the meaning of Rishikesha? Rishikesha, it comes as a word used in several places in Bhagavad Gita. Rishika is Indriya. Isha means Swami. He is the Lord of all our Indriyas. That means he can induce proper motivations, proper directions, proper aptitudes to our Indriyas if he desires. If he desires means he does that motivation based upon our karma and our own jivana yogyata. So
is our ultimate goal.
Yes, ultimate goal to have the favor from Rishikesha. Incidentally, we used to send, when I was in Delhi, we used to send certain groups to Badri Yatra, and they used to go to Haridwar and then Rishikesh. So many people ask me, what is the name of, where do we find the Kesha of Rishi? So they took it as Rishikesh, as Rishikesha. Is there any temple of the Kesha like the Buddha's tooth or Kesha? So I told him it's Rishikesha. So many of these misconceptions have come, misnomers have come by our not understanding the Sanskrit language. There is a pity of our times, and even now promotion of Sanskrit is not as much as admirers of Sanskrit like us want, So we must have proper learning of Sanskrit. Rishikesha, Devadattam Dhananjaya. Dhananjaya is again one of the 10 words of Arjuna. And all the other people, the Yudhishthira, Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthira Nakula Sahadevascha Sughosha Mani Pushpakau. The Dharmaraja's name, the Shankha's name was Ananta Vijaya. That means it would always have Vijaya, victory. Then Nakula and Sahadeva, their Shankhas were called as Sughosha and Mani Pushpaka. And every Shankha has a history. We need not go into those histories, but we should know that they had acquired these symbols of starting any action. Shankha Dhvani, as we now use, is meant to start any major activity. You sometimes in the north we use it more often, we find it more often. There is a blowing of Shankha at the beginning of a Samarambha. It is not any warfare being done there. So we must understand Shankha is the symbol of a very spiritual or important event. Shankha also, I forgot to mention that, Divya Shankha Pradadmatuhu. Pradadmatuhu is the Dvyavachana, both of them. Shankha, its akara is like Omkara. Shankha, if you hold it, is an Omkara. So those commentators who said that they were sitting in a university or a knowledge source driven by 4 Vedas, and Guru and Sishya, they blew the Shankha means they did the Omkara. Omka Om. For starting any knowledge or Guru Sishya, this one, you say Om, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Venkatesha Namaha. Om is the Pranava, supposed to be the beginning of all learning.
It is also proved that certain vibrations will work on the mind.
Yes.
So just like in music therapy.
Yeah.
So that might be also the cause of pouring Shankha.
Yes. the sound speaks in inducing certain
Omkara
inspiration. Yes, in Omkara also.
Akara, ukara,
Akara, Ukara, Makara, Padatraya, and it is supposed to be the Pranava, is supposed to be the reservoir of all knowledge of the Vedas. Vedas knowledge are preserved in Omkara. So all the Acharyas have shown from Omkara how you can derive. And in fact, some researchers have shown that the entire paleography, the scripts of Devanagari have come from the Omkara.
Omkara.
Omkara. It is contained in Omkara. And then all the others start blowing their shankhas, and the whole shankha dhvani had occupied the space. And Tumulu Venunadayan, it had Venunadayan, V Anunadayan. They knew the resounding. They knew the ecosystem and the resounding took place. Then Ayam Athav Vyavasthitan Drashtva Dharta Rashtran Kapidhvajahan Pravritte Shastra Sampate Dhanurudyamya Pandavaha. This is the backdrop of Arjuna's emotions and inspirations. In fact, he should have been carried to do the war straight away, begin to use his dhankara of his Kandiva Dhanas and start doing. But even despite that, he got into an emotion of depression. That shows that in life, when everything is very profound and producing in you vibrations of action, you run away from it and you become to a situation of depression. So the first Adhyaya, Vishada Yoga, shows that despite such profound backdrop of emotion inspiring situations, you get into depression, but still you can come out of the depression. This is the message.